fairy tale.
MF Doom fam. The room is lit, fam.
It's lit, fam.
Let's do this shit, fam.
The drum.
Welcome back to the Convo couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, you are. And I am Fiorella.
So we have a few things to talk about today, fam. Let's get the show rolling.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Oh
We have a
my
lot
God,
of things
do
to
we?
call it. Social media has been lit. Just a few days ago, fam, Senator John McCain passed away from cancer at the age of 81. Shortly after, the
R.I.P.
social media, MSM, erupted in a frenzy with some people praising his legacy and some people calling him out as a hawkish, for his hawkish past. So, fam, with all this craziness, what is your reaction to the reaction?
Well, Famalam, as you know, I have a huge opinion on this. First of all, we need to define what the actual problem is here. The problem isn't how people feel about John McCain, because you can either like him as a well-spoken, classic conservative who fought for America and served as a POW, or you can hate him as a racist and crude individual. The real issue is how in this country we glorify warmongers and glorify war to the point of heroism while simultaneously silencing those who refuse to do just that, which then in turn perpetuates this misconstrued narrative that war is good, that it is necessary, that it is something to be proud of, and consequently perpetuates the public acceptance of war. So this eventually pushes the idea that the more war is good for America, and it's so American that we must support it. When we already have trillions of dollars that have gone to the military-industrial complex, when we are living the consequences of our imperialism, of our regime changes, of our proxy wars, and the installation of puppet regimes, which lead to civil war, which in turn leads to the immigration problems that we have here and throughout Europe, and ultimately kills thousands of people. So it's insulting to edify and lionize a man who did just that as a hero. It's insulting to those people who died. And there are no true heroes, in my opinion, in war. There's only victims. So to say that it's wrong to state these facts and truths just because of his family, who is extremely rich and has never, ever thought of any need, ignores the feelings of thousands of people who died because of his actions. And Senator John McCain led his life, as you know, as a public servant. So he has to be... him and his family have to be able to take the criticism that comes along with that privilege. He is a public servant, so this is not beyond reprise. And if he were anyone else, we wouldn't be having the entire mainstream media dedicate days and hours upon hours of how heroic he was. And the liberal left wouldn't be clutching their pearls at any mention of any criticism and using it to have more war propaganda, fam.
Wow.
You can have empathy for his family in a human way.
Yeah.
Like,
Human
I
way.
don't wish ill to people, and I don't want, I'm not going to be dancing on his grave, but you can also simultaneously understand that his death will be received differently depending on who you are, because he's not the maverick that the media and the establishment have painted by the West.
Well, fam, let me just say it off the bat. One of our people in our audience said that you're killing it right out the gate. And that was huge right there. We need to talk about this some more, because I really, to tell you the truth, I didn't think we'd be talking about John McCain this much.
Right.
It's quite surprising. And we're going to show a video right now, because I chose to just keep silent on the issue. You know what I'm saying? I guess I'm a little bit older, so my mom's kind of a different generation. Don't talk ill about the dead was in my ear. However, this kind of reminded me when I saw, and what was really truly gross about it is the neoliberalism and the mainstream media and the establishment politicizing his death just to attack Donald Trump.
Exactly.
That's the most disgusting thing about this whole situation. And it made me get into a position to start saying, wait a second, let's remember John McCain for who he is. And
For who he really is.
He really is. And we've been talking about this for a while, and it reminded me of those Democrats that were applauding the Leon Panettas, and Henry Kissinger. Remember that, fam?
Yes, and George Bush Sr.
And they were praising these people, the Richard Painters, who is now running as a Democrat. It's disgusting. Why don't we take a look at the video, fam, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do the video, fam. Just remember, if you want to sit there and praise and show respect to John McCain, remember this. This is disgusting. Go ahead.
I think that we need to have further air operations to stop this kind of slaughter. I would argue for a no-fly zone.
The only realistic way to do so is with foreign air power.
And what is your message to Americans right now who are war-weary? They've seen what happened in Afghanistan. They remember the intelligence fiasco of Iraq. They see this and they say, here we go again.
Americans are not only war-weary, they're confused. I have never seen anything as disgraceful and outrageous and despicable as the last demonstration that just took place about, you know, you're going to have to shut up or I'm going to have you arrested. If we can't get the Capitol Hill police in here immediately, get out of here, you low-life scum.
The fact is that we have to have a strategy, and that strategy is regime change. And anything short of that path, I think, would be harmful in the long run as much as turning it down right away.
John McCain said, "I hate the gooks. I will hate them as long as I live." He used the word gooks to refer to Vietnamese people for 27 years until he decided that it was going to put his presidential campaign in jeopardy.
I think it's shameful and disgraceful that any organization in America would run an advertisement accusing this brave and honorable member of the military of betraying them. Do you think that? No. It's disgraceful. It's got to be retracted and condemned by the Democrats, and MoveOn.org ought to be thrown out of this country.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomberan. Bom, 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 bom. Anyway.
And Tasneem Raja at Mother Jones put together a map of the places that John McCain wants to fight in one way or another militarily. So for everybody listening on the radio, I'll break this down for you. They separate it into different categories. Now, all these places are places that he wants to intervene in one way or another militarily, but the strongest category they call salivating.
But I think you left out something, and that is our advocacy for regime change in Iran.
Meanwhile, two leading Republican U.S. senators have voiced opposition to President Barack Obama's plan for limited action in Syria and have called for regime change.
Carrier. Conflict, the major conflict is over. The regime change has been accomplished.
Major combat operations in Iraq have ended.
But I would also revise our policies concerning these rogue states, Iraq, Libya, North Korea, those countries that continue to try to acquire weapons of mass destruction and the means to deliver them.
You do what?
I'd institute a policy that I call rogue state rollback. I would arm, train, equip, both from without and from within, forces that would eventually overthrow the governments and install free and democratically elected governments. As long as Saddam Hussein is in power, I am convinced that he will pose a threat to our security.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomberan. Bom, 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 bom. Anyway.
Bomb, 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 Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb. I mean, this is what this man is saying, fam. I mean, this is completely disgusting. This guy is a warmonger. He used the word regime change. How many deaths come out as a result of regime change? How many deaths? He used the word, what else did he say, fam? I believe he said no-fly zone. That's pretty much war.
Yeah.
Fam.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We didn't just start criticizing John McCain yesterday or a couple days ago. The progressive left has been criticizing him because we know that even though McCain said that in a post-Holocaust world, all civilized people and governments and civilized nations should be intolerant of leaders who commit verified acts of genocide, 6 months ago, McCain voted against a measure to end the Saudi slaughter of the Yemen people.
That's right.
And over 15,000 people have been killed. And he also backed the selling of arms to the Saudis.
Yep.
And like that perpetuates the death of Yemenis, which has also increased the amount of disease of cholera in this population that's already ravaged by war. He's been honored by Lockheed Martin. He took a break from taxpayer-funded cancer treatment to fly 2,000 miles to cast a vote, resulting in 22 million people losing their health insurance, if you remember that. And that was last year. And he made a big speech then after how messed up the system is. And then he sought the invasion and occupation of Iraq that caused the death of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis and led to millions of others being displaced from their homes. He picked Sarah Palin as his VP in 2008. Did we forget that?
Yeah.
Sarah Palin could have been president. He
I mean,
once compared
that was scary. Talking about anti-intellectual.
And he once compared the president of Iran to a monkey. And he has there's books and articles dating back to how he treated his wife Cindy McCain, how he's talked about women, and
how about using the term "gook" up until? I mean, I understand he was a prisoner of war, and I think that's why we turned the blind eye. Not we, because when it happened, I was a little bit too young to even kind of notice what was going on. But being a prisoner of war, he used the term "gook" up until it was not beneficial for him to use it because he was running for president. Then all of a sudden that terminology went away. Let's not also forget that this guy was praised the fact that we removed Gaddafi and was threatening al-Bashar that he was next. You know what I'm saying? So let's not forget what this guy is all about. He's about war, more war, and nothing but war.
And not only that, electorally, he has been a Reagan Republican. He called himself that. He's a conservative. He's voted with Trump 90% of the time. And he also, he has used the media to curate this image of being the independent maverick, the one that's rational. And like as you said, they use Trump as a means to compare him. So in an effort to like demonize Trump further, they edify him and raise him on this pedestal, which he doesn't deserve to be. And this isn't just because I want to hate on him, because I'm angry. This is because we are perpetuating this war narrative and making someone a hero when they are actually the opposite of it. And it's something that we as a nation need to stop doing. We need to stop glorifying war because
the Leon Panettas and the Kissingers, we have to stop that. These people are bad people. They don't deserve to be praised. My personal opinion, fam, was like, I didn't think we'd be talking about this that much. And my whole approach was I'm just going to be silent. I'm not going to say anything negative or positive about his death. I'm just going to let it be and let it fizzle on out. But the reason why a lot of progressives have taken to social media to talk about this is the praising of the war machine and the mentality just to attack Trump. And this is deranged Trump syndrome once again.
I don't think people would have been so vocal if the news and the entire mainstream media and the establishment hadn't spent days and hours and still today making a big deal about how much of a hero and how he has fought for peace. Like it's just ridiculous lies that they're manifesting, and he has blood on his hands in Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Libya, Vietnam, all of these countries. And so this is why, and this is why I'm not going to stay silent, because I think that we need to not be silent just for the sake of false peace, for the sake of coddling people who don't want to be who want to make sure we're classy. I guess classiness doesn't apply to brown and black people who have been destroyed by people like John McCain.
That's it. Let's look at some of the reactions online from some of these people, whatnot. I'm going to say an example of what to do and what not to do, because we got to start off with old Bernie. Where's Bill Bernie? We're going to start off with Bernie's, because once again, you don't have to agree with everything that Bernie Sanders says or does. And I do not. Take a look. Bernie Sanders says here, right here, John McCain was an American hero, a man of decency and honor, a friend of mine. He will be missed, not just by the U.S. Senate, by all Americans who respect integrity and independence. Jane and I send our deepest condolences to him and his family. I'm sorry, fam. I don't agree with this move here.
I don't agree with him either, but I can... Let me say that Bernie and John McCain are friends.
They are.
That is something
They've
that
worked
when
in the
you're
Senate
friends,
for years,
that gives you a different perspective. I don't agree with Bernie having to call him a hero because he is not. And then, also integrity to me, that is just, it's just not.
He had to form a friendship and a relationship with John McCain to work with him.
Exactly.
To get his amendments passed. So, I mean,
and he's also a politician that's probably going to run in 2020, as most of us know. And you kind of have to, be diplomatic, and it sucks, and it makes me feel dirty.
AOC. Show this one. AOC, watch this one over here. AOC says herself. Ready, fam?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said, John McCain's legacy represents an unparalleled example of human decency and American service. It's hard for me to just read that.
Yeah, I know.
As an intern, I learned a lot about the power of humanity and government through his deep friendship with Senator Kennedy. He meant so much to so many people. My prayers are with his family. I agree with you sending prayers to the family, because obviously we're all human beings and
to the family.
Losing something. But to call him an unparalleled example of human decency and American service, she got a lot of backlash, and that is what I look at. I look at, like, she's a great candidate. I stand with her on every issue. I disagree with her and her stance on this. She's entitled to her opinion. She's also running as a congressperson, and again, there is a sense of diplomacy and kind of like, they have to be careful on what the things they say, but I disagree that she had to go that far, because Donald Trump didn't even go that far.
Yeah.
And now, of course, the liberal left is like clutching their pearls and criticizing him because he only said, prayers and condolences to the McCain family.
Well, what about this? There was somebody who was vocal about this months and months ago, almost a year ago, when John McCain come back. She said that, would John McCain just die already? Let's take a look at her tweet. Remember the pressure she caught for this? But Caitlin Johnstone, she knows her stuff. She understands what's going on.
Yeah.
When she was saying those things, take a look at what she said right now. Okay. Everyone's saying we ought to wait. Can I do it in the Caitlin Johnstone voice? Everyone's saying we ought to wait before criticizing John McCain is actually saying that we need to wait until war propagandists have securely sealed their worship narrative about him and his legacy into public consciousness forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
It's like we can't criticize him at all because it's impolite. And it's like, isn't war impolite? Shouldn't we be like more turned off by what he has done rather than the things that we're saying after death?
Yeah.
Just someone dying doesn't automatically make them a saint. And I think that's what we need to look at.
Sympathy for the family is another thing too, fam. Like you said, it's for the family. We understand that you're going to be sympathetic towards the family members. Every father, every son is going to have feelings to their loved ones, and we pray for you on that. Do we have a Sarah Smith quote up yet or no?
We do, but first, before that, I want to put up the civility dipshit. That's her name. She says, rip Osama bin Laden. He might have had some bad ideas, but he fought the Soviets in the 80s. A war hero was still a war hero, even if we disagree on some things. She was mocking how it would sound if Osama bin Laden was John McCain, which John McCain is Osama bin Laden to a lot of these people. We often forget how, the other side perceives us, because we don't have these pictures right now, but if you show Iran and Iraq and Yemen and Syria before and after our involvement, you see two completely different worlds. And from their perspective, he is the Osama bin Laden. So I want to point out Sarah Smith, because Sarah Smith is an example of
we've been playing about this girl.
She handled it pretty well.
She's lit.
I agree.
Every time we say Sarah Smith's name, I'm going to say how lit this woman is. Okay?
She's woke.
Oh, she's woke. Read this, fam. Go ahead.
My condolences to Senator John McCain and his family during this emotional, difficult time. Political differences aside, my heart goes out to everybody affected by the senator's passing. May he rest in peace and his family find comfort in one another. She focused on the family. And I mean, to some people, this is still like, oh, why she didn't have to do that. But I mean, to me, for someone that's running for Congress that understands that she has a very huge anti-war platform, isn't really highlighting him as a hero. It's simply saying, okay, this as a human, like, my condolences are with the people who are suffering about. That's completely understandable. And she's also shared a lot of things with dealing with the with what he actually did. And she's very anti-war and the rest of her tweets. So she understands that this isn't like a simple, like, oh, he's a hero, let's just fall in line and regurgitate what everyone else is saying. And I really do admire that from her.
Can we also show the tweet about John McCain, just because we talked about this before? Once again, to reiterate this guy right here, there it is. The mentality. Gaddafi is on his way out. Bashar al-Assad is next.
That was from 2011.
Exactly. Once again, the warmongering never stops with John McCain. Yeah. It keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Okay. Fam, you want to talk about this? Senator McCain was an exceptional, courageous leader. You want to talk about who else, once again, who's backing this man? You want to say who's the people who should be praising Senator McCain are right here in this comment. That's who we expect to be praising Senator McCain, not people who call themselves liberal.
So Senator John McCain has been praised by Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, okay? The corporation responsible for weapons of mass destruction that we drop on poor countries.
Everybody.
So, Senator
Lockheed Martin was on the bomb that just killed the children in Yemen. Remember, it was right there listed.
Lockheed Martin,
like it was like a box of cereal.
We had the picture up last time. So Senator John McCain was an exceptionally courageous leader and a true patriot who dedicated his life in service to our nation. We join the country in mourning his loss. Throughout his career, he rightfully held all of us in the national security industry to the toughest and most demanding standards. What standards are those? Yet, no matter how passionate the debate or difficult the message, we always understood it for what it was, a determination to deliver the best capability for our military and men and women in uniform while ensuring the taxpayers' interests were properly served. He will be greatly missed.
Yeah, can I say something about something real quick right here? This is the line I like best. While ensuring the taxpayers' interests were properly served. You got screwed, my friend. This guy took, instead of all the social programs like feeding the homeless, or education, or healthcare. This is what we spent our money on. John McCain made war people, warmongers, the military-industrial complex, billions and billions.
Oh, that's why they love
dollars.
him. It should say we love him because he gave us money.
Yep.
And funded us to be the most powerful, one of the most powerful corporations in America. So that's why we love him. Our stock market will surely miss him. That's what it should say.
Our stock market will surely miss him. Fam, let's get on to some of the reactions real quick from some of the people up there. Yeah. We got this on my Facebook today. Take a look at some of these over here. I'm going to show some of these as an example of what to do and what not to do and what to say. Okay, so this is one of my friend's tweets right over here. Okay. It says, Trump was asked to reflect on his legacy of Senator McCain, but said nothing with his arms crossed to the press pool, as the press pool was herded out of the Oval Office. How anyone can still respect this small-minded, vindictive little man is beyond comprehensive. So they are using this, they're weaponizing it, they're politicizing it, just to attack Donald Trump. And that person says that they're liberal. Who posted that up, my friend?
It just seems that the liberal left and the Republicans all agree on war and warmongers. They both agree on praising some of these people, right? And they just hack onto Donald Trump for whatever. And this is not defending Trump. Like, I don't care about his feelings being hurt.
Yeah.
I care about the fact that they're using him to emotionally manipulate people. So they're like, oh, look how Trump is, da 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 da. And then meanwhile, they still keep doing the same bullshit behind the scenes.
Exactly. And we're telling you what's going on behind the scenes. Here's another one from a liberal friend of mine once again. He says, my friend Gavin Blake Garber, we're right now, we're arguing back and forth. All you need to know about our president, doesn't give a response honoring John McCain's service and life. And today, flag flying at full above the White House, not at half staff like the rest of the country. He's a petty disgrace, and there's not a scintilla of this man Senator John McCain was. Okay, no, he wasn't a scintilla of what that man was. He wasn't in Congress long enough to aid Lockheed Martin and to push the military-industrial complex.
I mean, if we're really honest, John McCain has done more damage than Donald Trump.
He has done way more damage than Donald Trump.
I know that's hard to swallow, but it's true.
I mean, Trump's doing pretty good himself right now, dropping bombs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's another one, too, and even with people you respect. So one person up here, okay, now Carl Hines, who's probably watching the show. We love you, Carl Hines. We always look at your stuff. John McCain voted against MLK Day. Remember that, fam?
Did.
Remember that? For TPP and the Patriot Act. Remember that, fam?
Yep, fam.
And voted with Donald Trump 83% of the time when it comes to war crime votes. Okay, on war. Okay? And now, I love Carl Hines, but even Stephen Jaffe, and I love Stephen Jaffe, he's one of my guy. He partially redeemed himself to me by being one of the very few Republicans with the courage to stand up to Trump and call him out for his conduct. Before he died, McCain instructed his family not to, blah, 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 blah. We don't have to go on to that. But once again, I don't know how we can redeem anything. And I love you, Stephen Jaffe, and I understand that, he was for campaign finance reform, McCain. He wanted to, do something about the money that was poured in there, but it's still not enough to excuse.
He simultaneously profited from it and then continued to vote for tax breaks for millionaires and corporations. Nonetheless, he did some good work in Massachusetts with installing a Medicare for All type of system up there, which I knew about, which is one of the few times that I praised him, which was something great that he did, because Bernie Sanders' plan, that's why Bernie has some respect for him. Yeah. He worked with him to form his Medicare for All plan, and that is a good thing he did. Yeah. But aside from that, we have to also talk about the huge warmongering that he did, and we can't simply ignore that in order to avoid conflict. We've tried to do that before, and that ended up getting us Donald Trump, because we wouldn't talk about things. So we need to be able to talk about things without blocking each other, and I can't tell you how many people deleted and blocked me.
Somebody was about to do it to me. I think Gavin Blake Garber might have me deleted by now and stuff like that. What about Jimmy Carter? What does Jimmy Carter have to say, fam? What about this? Go ahead, fam.
No, you go ahead, fam.
All right, once again, Jimmy Carter hands McCain his ass. McCain on Obama. I thought Jimmy Carter was bad, but he pales in comparison to the president, in my opinion. Jimmy Carter says, that's a compliment to me coming from a warmonger. And when Jimmy Carter says something, fam, people listen. That's JC, baby. JC. So, I mean, the reactions. Can we show my boy Randall Davis? Where's my boy Randall? I got to praise my boy Randall Davis, because sometimes I give him some shit, you know what I'm saying, for saying something. Look what Randall Davis put up here. And this is the way you should approach things. History matters. Prayers to his family and friends. Okay? Sometimes our later days can be better than our earlier days. Okay? But let's not forget about the earlier foul decisions.
Right.
Fam.
Because they have consequences.
Thank you. Exactly. Thank you, Randall Davis, my boy, for putting that up, Randall. That's the way you handle things. You say, okay, we show some remorse to his family and friends. I think Sarah Smith did the same thing. Yeah. But let's keep our eye on the prize, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? We have a very serious addiction to war in this country that has gotten nothing but worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. We're in 76 countries with guns in different countries, okay? And they're out of control. I don't even think Donald Trump understands what's going on in Africa. I don't think the people understand what's going on. I was watching Seymour Hersh the other day, and, it's like it's the wild, wild west. There's a bunch of guns, bombs, ammunition set up, and our military is just out of control, fam.
So we could talk about this all day.
Yes.
But I know you wanted to talk a little bit about
You want to talk about the Guardian, though? The last one from the Guardian? Can we put this last one up? Because this is a good one, too, fam. Okay.
That's Carl?
Carl Hines, because he's my Carl Hines. Where you at,
Shout out to Carl Hines.
Yeah, you want to read this one, fam? Or you want me to read it?
No.
Look, I don't want to say anything horrible about the dead, but I've seen too many psychopathic posts about John McCain. Okay, and may he rest in peace. Excuse me. May he rest in peace. Blah 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 blah. I can see it over here. Let me say it a little bit closer. This guy was no saint. He's a certified warmonger. And there's this shit and the fact that he was a Republican his whole career. I pray for his soul. I pray for any of my enemies. But let's not fool ourselves here.
Exactly.
And you got the article about John McCain in The Guardian. Fam, we can talk about this all day. But we got to talk about a few other things because we have a whole show to do.
So, fam, ding dong, the Superdelegates are dead.
Ding dong, they are dead.
Not really. No.
Well, they're close to being dead.
No.
We just passed the rules, okay? Right now, on the first round of voting, unless there is a tie, there will be no more superdelegates.
Since 1952, I think they said there hasn't been a second vote.
I think so. I think there's never been a second vote. And, and once again, but there's something that David Hildebrand put up the other day, and I want you guys to watch this really quick because it's funny because I said the same thing. As soon as they said, okay, superdelegates are dead, David Hildebrand put that up in the purple. Okay? It's time to start anticipating how the corporate Dems will try to skip the first round of votes procedurally. It's there, fam.
And
how are they going to get to the second round? What about the caucuses?
I think they're going to push for someone like Harris, maybe Kamala Harris, or someone establishment like that, and maybe another person, divide the progressive vote, and then try to get Bernie Sanders have that second vote, and then of course, kick him out. I think that's a possibility. That is a very pessimistic possibility. I still think this is a win. A lot of people say, no, this is still corrupt. They're still there. Yes, obviously, we do want the super delegates gone completely. However, this is a first step that I don't think people thought could have happened 6 months ago. People were like, oh, they're never going to do this.
Yeah.
It shows that we are a threat. It shows that we are pushing so hard that they do have to give us something. However, it kind of does feel like, oh, we're just giving you this. Donna Brazil tweeted something, and I don't have it right now.
Man.
But
we have it.
Oh, you have it? Okay,
great. Fam, this is a show, fam. We got it. Look what Donna Brazil put up right over there. Check this one out right here. Put it big for me. Democrats voted to remove the automatic delegates from the first round of voting. But we still have seats at the table. We, superdelegates, the elites, we're still in the room and very much capable of setting the menu. Once again, it's like Donna Brazil is, even when she came out and wrote this book, like I said, she just did that for political gain as well.
Yeah.
I don't like Donna Brazil. I am done with this woman, really, to tell you the truth. Daddy, you got some set of balls.
She's basically saying we still have the power to basically do what we want, and
we're still gonna find a way.
Did she say we're gonna set the menu?
Yeah, we're gonna still set the menu. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. David Hildebrand put this up too as well. When I was talking with him today, the Democrats, the establishment, is still gonna be able to push their candidate. They're gonna still use the mainstream media.
Yeah.
They're gonna still get behind. Every single time there's somebody on MSNBC or CNN, and you see a Democrat, they're going to be pushing an establishment candidate. So now they don't have the super delegates to do it, whatnot, to skew the numbers in front of our eyes. But that doesn't mean anything from the fact that they're going to still try to push their corporate candidate. Right. And you know what, fam? I heard that the super delegates were really just not really our choice. It wasn't progressives pointing to get rid of the super delegates. You know who it was, fam?
Who, fam?
Take a guess. I'll show you, fam. Watch this. California DNC members suggest super delegate reform is part of the Russian plot.
Wow.
Fam?
Because Russia knows what superdelegates are and they care, right? Where's my Russian hat? You promised me, fam.
Oh, my Lord, when the winter gets here.
My boyfriend Putin said me.
I wanted to get that tweet. I wanted to get that meme. Like, can you tell me, are the Russians in the room with you right now? I mean, this is
right
what
here.
I mean about the Russia gate. Anything that they don't like, they're just going to throw Russia out there.
Russia
out there. You know what I'm saying? There's global warming. And the global warming is a plot by Russians to destroy the earth to make Trump president. And, yeah.
And you know what? I wish I didn't have to mock election rigging because it's not something funny. But that's just not the case. I mean, like we've talked on here so many times, we're the ones that rig elections, install governments, install coups. Like we're the ones that do all this. But we fail to look in the mirror and we stamp Russia on anything. And we've been doing that since the 1950s.
That's been a plan for a long, long time, and it is definitely coming.
So, fam,
fruition.
In summary, this is a good first step, but this is not the end. We need to go way further, continue to push, and proceed with caution, because it's not like I trust Tom Perez to just out of nowhere, which, by the way, especially after they decided to continue accepting fossil fuel money.
Yeah. Well, they were broke. What do you want them to do? They had no money. They had the worst freaking fundraising.
They're broke because they use their money where they shouldn't.
You got to get back into the gravy train over there that's going to pay you, and that's the fossil fuel company over there. Going to let you drill.
Meanwhile, wildfires, hurricanes, floods,
monsoons, everything in the month. Fam, what are we talking about next? What's the next
thing?
Fam,
DemEnter versus DemExit, because out of all of this that's happening with the McCain, with the Trump, with all of this, with the super delegates, we have a stark division in the progressive movement. And, by progressives, I mean people who are to the left of center.
Yes.
And there are various degrees of that, as we discussed before.
Yes.
Now, you went to the Left Coast Forum.
Yes, we did.
And you saw Maria Estrada there.
Yes, I did.
Panels, the She Does movement was there discussing California for Progress. Pat Harris.
Melissa Michelson.
Yes, the Feel the Burn Dem Club.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you see the video and you like what you see, before we get going nuts, just remember that me and Fam here, we also have full-time jobs working as waiters and bartenders. So if you can help out in any way, click on our Patreon. I don't mean to do it in the middle, but go down below, because I was zonked over the weekend trying to get to different places and work and whatnot. And as you see, the Fam and I have been going to Seattle, Sacramento, and we want to continue to do this, and we want to continue to grow. So any love helps whatsoever. But yes, Fam, on Saturday morning, I was able to go to the Left Coast Forum and go and filmed this one panel. And this one panel, to me, was so important because it talks about Maria Estrada, who's trying to join she joined the Democratic Party to run against Anthony Rendon. It was a strategy why she did it. But we have been talking about this DemEnter, DemExit thing. So let's get going. Let's start off with Maria Estrada, running for California Assembly to take out Anthony Rendon. This is Maria Estrada.
Snake Rendon.
Yes, Snake Rendon. Take a look at her. Watch what she says here.
I am very supportive of people that want to work outside of the party. I'm not critical of them. And I've been criticized for staying in the Democratic Party. For me, it's a strategic thing because of my district and demographics. It just made more sense for me. Tim Canova called me the Saturday before he announced that he was, leaving the party, and I told him I fully support him. I totally get why he's doing it, and I understand why people are doing it. My game plan is a little different, and Jimmy Dore is like, I think the Democratic Party is corrupt, and I said it is. And I was like, well, why are you staying in the party? I said, because I want to do it in their face, in their house. I want to be in their house, smashing windows, and that's why I'm in it. I get to go to these conventions. I have the ability, I have access to people by being in the Democratic Party. I was actually a delegate. So all of that comes into play when you're going to run for office, and that's the main reason. It's not I don't feel any loyalty to that party. The fact is I don't feel loyalty to any party or anyone. I'm not blindly loyal to a party or to a person. My loyalty is to my community and to the people of this this state. That's it. I mean, I'm not in here because I feel that I don't want to further the Democratic Party and their agenda. And I would have to disagree with Melissa in the comment that she made about the Democratic Party is like about ICE and the immigration issue. The Democratic Party is a part of the problem. The Democratic Party is the reason why Trump's able to do what he's doing, because they allowed Obama to get away with so much shit for all that time. He's the one that deported 8 million immigrants. He had kids in cages and nobody was talking about it. And now we have all these candidates that have been accepting money from these detention centers, and this has been going on for years. And then Trump does it and everybody loses their fucking mind. But we knew that it was happening, but nobody did anything about it. So now the California Democratic Party is saying they're not going to take money from these detention centers or for-profit prisons. Well, they're the ones that the reason we're in this position to begin with. They're following the progressive movement, not the other way around. They're not doing stuff because they think it's right. They're doing it because it's politically expedient and it looks good. But the fact is that it's like Pat said in that video. Their whole agenda is to attack Trump and that he's an awful person, when in fact that their positions align with his very much. I mean, there has been no pushback, there is no resistance, that's just a stupid hashtag that they use, but the fact is that they fall in line with whatever he does. They don't talk about the donor issue because they all have the same donors. So realistically, it's one and the same party, and aside from those few social issues, we're dealing with the same people. So, and they're all capitalists. So the bottom line is that that's what this is about. It's about money and power. It has nothing to do with doing what's in the best interest of society or the people. And that's why I'm in this. So.
Wow, that woman, Maria Estrada. Hold on a second. How you doing, Maria? That was awesome.
My God.
When she said, when Trump does it and everybody loses their fucking mind, dude, that room just was like kind of giggling, trying to hold it in. But it's such the truth. I mean, the state of this Democratic Party is we have to, first of all, understand the mechanisms that put us at this point, the mechanisms that got us to Donald Trump. And that was, I hate to say it for all you out there, was Barack Obama and the current DNC, even from Bill Clinton. Let's not forget that they've had 16 years of the White House the Democrats have had over the last 25 years. You know what I'm saying? And they've lost all these seats. And we are where we're at right now because of them. And like she said, it's almost about a takeover. It's about a hostile takeover. I'm going to come in their party and I'm going to smash their friggin' windows. Because that's what DemEnter is to me about it. I was DemExit until David Hildebrand spoke to me. And he said, DemEnter is not about reforming the party. It's not about getting the leaders to move to the left. It's about replacing those leaders by their own delegates and then reforming this party into a people's party. And that screams Maria Estrada.
Yeah, and I like that she said, you know, why are you going to enter the Democratic Party? Because you want them to see what you're doing. You want them to see, because what they want you to do is walk away and, you know, do your own thing, and they're going to make it impossible for you to enter that way. And I agree with that. And I think we need the third parties, and I think we need the Democratic Party as well. And, you know,
Maria's like a green in my mind. I mean,
Maria
Estrada is running as a Democrat. She's more of a green. Her friends are green. Her mentality is green.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why the label
green.
doesn't matter to me. What matters are the issues and where you stand on them.
Yeah.
And we waste so much time arguing, oh, the DemExit, oh, this and that. And it's like, no, we need to focus on the issues and how to get in there and how to have people on the outside who are also going to support us.
Inside and outside, running up the moat,
and
climbing
we're
up
seeing
the wall.
congressional primary wins.
Yeah.
We're seeing the congressional primary wins. However, we also are seeing the pushback from the Democratic establishment. And it is possible to, I think it's impossible to fully win by only DemEnter and only DemExit. I think we need both. And I think the Democratic establishment, though, is going to continue their pushback against progressives, and we're going to have to find ways to outsmart them, especially at the polls. We need to be ready like we weren't ready 2 years ago.
We got to win. And let me tell you something. There's also this mentality, too, as well. And Maria kind of explained it's like, I don't give crap to people inside or outside the party. It's all about their policies. It's all about how they approach things. And even like for the people who is, you know, there's a lot of people, Greens we know, and people we said, no, F that shit. We're DemExit. We're never joining that party. You know, Jimmy Dore's a big component about it. He's like, oh, this party sucks. You're never going to reform it. But like I said, it's taking over the party with its delegates and replacing the leadership with people that are true progressives and then reforming it into a people's party. Now, to forgive them, to let stuff slide, listen to Pat Harris, because Pat Harris hits it on the nose right here in this video when he spoke about why he's still in the party.
As I mentioned earlier, you know, the Democratic Party was ingrained in me from the time I grew up. So it's been very hard for me to sort of get to the point where I am. But I became very disenchanted, like I said, in the 1990s. And I think that probably 2016 and what happened and the nomination of Hillary, I think it's a little bit like I tell people as a criminal defense attorney, you know what, most of my clients, the vast majority of my clients, when they come in, it's the first time they've been in trouble. So I go to the prosecutor and I say, look, give them a shot, you know, give them a chance. They screwed up, let them have another chance. It's the first time. I kind of look at that as where I am in my mind with the Democratic Party. You screwed up 2016. And because you screwed up, we have Donald Trump as a president. I'm giving you another shot. 2020, if we do this again, if we continue to go down this path, if we continue to make sure that we nominate someone who is nothing more than a centrist, more of a Republican than a Democrat, at that point, then I am probably going to be involved in some type of movement to lead the Democratic Party. Because I just, like I said, I'll give you another shot. I think we cannot lose in 2020. We just can't. And if we go and do the same mistake we made in 2016, then I think I will probably be pretty close to where Maria is at this point.
There it is, fam. What do you think?
So I like his approach. It's like, you know, it's like, yeah, you fucked up once, so here's a chance. But I also think, like,
you cheated on me once.
Yeah, well, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's what I was gonna say. The devil's advocate of that is like, how do we know they're not gonna cheat again? You know, we don't know, and it's a huge risk. And you know, and it's not like we're blindly trusting that they're not going to. We're seeing right now what they're doing in congressional primaries. A lot of these people are the DNC and the DCCC congressionally are so corrupt. And that's what we're seeing. So how do we trust them, fam? How do we give them another chance? Because I agree with Jimmy there. Like, are we really gonna, you know, put trust in the people that, you know, screwed us over and screwed Bernie Sanders over? How are we going to do that?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm not giving them another chance per se. My mentality, my plan is an act, and that's to take over the party, you know, to support people like Maria Estrada who want to replace the leadership. She's trying to replace like the Anthony Rendones. So I'm not really giving them another chance. I'm just staying with them because I want to hijack, and I want to be part of the hijack, because I believe there's a lot of middle of the road, somewhat left-leaning centrists that are on that point in their careers. You have those people like the Kevin De Leons. I think that they're a little bit more to the right of the true progressives, but they're still at a point where they'll completely flip to the left and follow the progressive movement once the progressives start taking over these leadership positions, just like the White House.
But can the progressives take over the leadership positions
Well,
we
can take over the big leadership position, 2020.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then the cookie will start to crumble.
That's the thing. But the revolution happens from the bottom up, not from the top down. So
well, it's already happening for the bottom, and I think there's so much support and so many people that are there that when the top comes in, everything just, yes, it's a nexus. Everything comes together. Handsome Johnny Majorca over there, El DeBarge Jr. just agreed with me there and stuff like that. But fam, there's something else I want to point out because it's really important, because Jim Keedy said something a long time ago when he went on Jimmy Dore for like the second time. He appealed to people and he started asking people to send in a couple bucks. And they were asking questions. And one of the questions they asked him, say, Jim, can you win without money? And Jim said, nope. He goes, I understand. This is something we want to change, but we can't change it right now. Right now, we have to fight the battle we were dropped in on. So listen to Pat Harris's plan, and this is big, fam, because a lot of progressives, like me and you, like I'm a little bit more capitalist than you. I think if you can scratch the whole system and go socialism, you would do it right now.
100% tomorrow.
What's that?
Tomorrow.
He would do it exactly. I'm not there. I'm at a point where I'm ready to meet everybody at the halfway point, and I believe that democratic socialism is that halfway point. Now, I don't want to get into a discussion about that right now. I mean, I don't know. In an uber beautiful world, I would like a lot of things to change. But right now, what's in front of me, democratic socialism seems like it's capitalism with a consciousness, but we have to do something, and Pat Harris is going to explain what needs to be done, because progressives have a problem with money. They believe that money is the root of all evilness, and they want to get away from it. But unfortunately, we can't. So listen to Pat Harris. He has a plan.
I feel like I do think the one thing that we as progressives overlook and sometimes criticize is we seem to have this purity thing about money. Well, guess what? I hate it. I hate the system, but you got to have it in order to win, and we got to win. It's not enough just to talk. We got to win. So what I'm doing is I do have access to some people with money. As I've gone on in my career as an attorney, I've met people who do. I know some people in the campaign. So what we're doing is we are organizing a group that essentially is the antithesis of the Koch brothers. We're calling it the Pepsi sisters. And the idea is we are putting money behind candidates for lesser offices, because this progressive movement has to build a farm system. We've got to be electing people to city councils and water districts and school boards. And as I went around the state, it was amazing the number of incredible people I met who are young and excited and want to run for city council, but they don't have the money to do it. That's what we've got to do. We've got to build a farm system. So that's what I'm doing. We're putting together that committee. Hopefully we'll have it. We're meeting next week. Hopefully we'll have it together and we'll be able to help sponsor some people to do that. So there you go.
Grab a Pepsi, have a Pepsi today. Fam, the Pepsi sisters are coming. And this is why it's important for when you send that $2 out, that $27 out, that $4, that $5. We need money, fam. Right now, we're not going to get away from the capitalist system overnight. So we need to interject some money into this whole system to beat these Democrats, these establishment Democrats, these Republicans. We need the Scharol is what the
we do need
Scharol,
we do
if you know
need
what that
El
means.
Dinero, but I do want to emphasize the fact that we will never have as much money as an establishment neoliberal candidate. We do need money for fundraising for these candidates to do the things that they need to do. But a grassroots campaign will never be run the same way an establishment campaign will. We need money, but we also need these people to do like the Ocasio type, that goes and knocks on doors every single time, and that gets people excited and willing to vote. Because that's what it is. The majority of young people don't vote, and it's because they're not really excited to vote. And when they did, they voted for Bernie Sanders, they were tricked. And so that's why the deception there, it makes them jaded. So yes, we need money, but it's also not the number one thing. And it's progressives are iffy about money because they know that money and power corrupts people I can tell you that many of the people, maybe Barack Obama, that went into politics back in the day were completely different people than they are now. That the intentions that were there changed once they were corrupted by the establishment. I mean, money changes people. Power changes people. So we also, and Caitlin Johnstone, of course, did another article, and she spoke about how we're not going to be able, it doesn't matter if it's socialism, democratic socialism, capitalism. People always say, oh, capitalism this isn't real capitalism. This is corporation capitalism. Real capitalism works. And socialism, when they see it fail, they say, oh, this isn't real socialism. This is like, socialism brought down by capitalism. Real socialism works. But the fact is that none of these idealistic systems, these ideologies of a system, are going to work unless we change the concept of like the way humanity perceives power and money. Yeah. Right? Because this goes deeper than politics. This is about how we as human beings need to have these limits, need to have a way to see a new way of thinking. And we're just also not there yet. And I think you're right. Democratic socialism is a way to do that. That's the future.
I mean, and getting back to also to the money part, to what you just tapped on, whatnot. We can never lose our values. And somebody just put on the stream too as well about no corporate money, and we have to understand that, because we have to get some chunks of money in from some other places.
But it's not corporate money.
No, it's not corporate money. But if you have a rich millionaire, like the Koch brothers, who wants to invest into the progressive movement, well, we have to find a way to take that money.
We do, but we also have to make sure that money doesn't
have strings attached.
Exactly, it doesn't come with the strings attached.
Doesn't have strings attached. But there are a lot of people out there who want to push the progressive movement. They see what's going on. They understand as much money as they have, they can't pass it down to their children if the world is going to blow up in a flame because of global warming. You know what I'm saying? They understand that eventually that whole capitalist system is going to be brought down unless there's progressive values and issues and policies in place. You can't keep killing the people, the citizens that you have, and expect an economy to work properly. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, they're going to put money into the system to help save it. It was almost what FDR did. When everybody wants to know something, FDR saved capitalism. You know what I'm saying? A democratic socialism. And we need to protect workers' rights. So this is going to be a touchy situation, but Pat Hare has said it right on the nose. I want to send a special thanks out to Melissa Michelson, who put together that panel, who moderated it. She even said, and I didn't get a clip of it. We'll get a clip of it next time. When she, after the convention, she went back home and she Dem-exited, and then she started the Feel the Burn Democratic Club. They had a meeting yesterday. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. I had a fantasy football draft. I got Todd Gurley second. But, yeah, fam, thanks to Melissa Michelson. You're amazing, the work you do in putting that together. And we'll be at the next one, the Convo Couch and the fam.
Yeah, fam.
You want to take a commercial break?
We are going to take a commercial break.
Because we do have some primaries tomorrow in Florida and Arizona, if you're wondering. That's beautiful AZ behind us. We'll see you after the break. Bye. Watch this, fam.
BRB.
I'm grateful when I see my kids. My wife and I weren't sure we were ever going to have kids. And now that we have them, the blessing of seeing them every day when we go in to wake them up and get them ready for school, I really don't have the words to describe them.
Caroline, did you sleep well? Yes.
The difference between the morning routine I had growing up and what my kids get to experience couldn't be more different.
Give that kiss.
Okay, thank you. I grew up in a house just like this. We'd get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning to make sure that my mom could be on time to drive in the bus. We would ride the bus for 2 or so hours before we would transfer and then get on our bus to school. I remember watching my mom try to whip the wheel of that big steering wheel on the city bus with no power steering. She actually still has injuries today from the work that she did. Growing up in Miami, every one of my older brothers had some kind of criminal background history. there might be a knock at the door, and it'd be a police officer telling my mother that, you know, my brother had gotten in trouble, and that she or my dad would need to come and see about him. I remember very distinctly my mother closing the door and just watching tears well up in her face. I remember making the promise to myself that I wasn't gonna make my mom cry like that. And she was gonna cry because she was happy. My grandmother, who herself never had a formal education, she would say, "Boy, go to school, mind your teachers, get your lesson, and one day bring that college home." She said, "Bring it home for your little brother and your little sister who don't know what it is. Bring it home for that little boy down the street that you play with, and God knows where he's gonna end up. Bring it home." So my brothers, when they finally decided they were going to get their lives together, there were not a lot of opportunities available to them to go and work someplace. You know, our society doesn't look well on people who have a criminal record. I believe firmly that people deserve second chances, that you make mistakes, you break the law, you pay the penalty, but that you ought to be given a second chance. Yet we punish people for a lifetime for a mistake. I can't wait to be able to move forward a vision in this state that puts people to work at every rung on the income level. That's what I want to do for the state of Florida. And if you look back over the time I've spent as mayor, you'll see that I have leaned into the challenges, embraced disruptive technologies, tried to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem here that allows anybody with a dream and a vision and the will to get it done to create the business of their own future and of their own desire that they can be proud of and set an example for the next generation workforce. As governor of Florida, I can't wait to invest the kind of resources to build the infrastructure of this state that makes us a 21st century state. I can't wait to have an education system that rewards teachers, that educates children, creates an opportunity to learn for all of them. Because regardless of what anyone says, it is still true that access to a good quality education can be the difference between living in intergenerational poverty and deciding for yourself whether or not you're gonna have a different future that allows you to keep a roof over your head and food on the table and a good job that doesn't require you to have 3 jobs just to make ends meet. When I think back to that young version of myself sitting on that city bus, one, I'm amazed at the opportunities that have been provided. But I also recognize that were it not for a good public education, caring and loving parents, a grandmother who prayed for me, and quite frankly, people who believed enough in me to say that I could, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And it's my firm belief that every single young person ought to have that same opportunity. And I plan to work as hard as I can every day if given the opportunity to make sure that every child has that same opportunity.
Fam.
Fam-alam.
Andrew Gillum's lit, fam.
He's awesome.
He's lit.
God.
Fam, he's lit. We need this man. I know a lot of people.
We need that man in Florida because Florida is the kind of state where they punish people for the lowest of crimes, and they make sure that these people have a hard time rebuilding their life. And it's disgusting, and this is exactly the kind of person we need, a person that has endured and has experience with the criminal justice system. And
Mayor of Jacksonville.
He would be amazing. He would take Florida to a completely different direction. And I'm shouting to everyone in Florida to please, please, please vote for him for governor. And let me know, let Pasta and I know if you have any questions on any other candidates. We did post an Our Revolution thing last week. We'll be posting more today and tomorrow as you know, the primary happens. It does suck that Florida, we were talking about this, fam, has they have very little time. They protect their incumbents, right? Because the primary is so
uber late primaries. So you got like a month and a half left.
Time.
Yeah. So it does protect it. Helped Rick Scott last time out. Very fortunate for us this time that Rick Scott is running for senator. Well, I don't know if that's very fortunate. That's a bad thing. But he will not be running, and he doesn't have to protect his seat. We also, just mentioning Scott Dakota, a new friend of mine, Kenneth Mejia, for Congress. I was at Kenneth Mejia's booth this week. I got a sticker and a pin from him. He's also running for California Assembly, another candidate we have to for Congress. Excuse me, yeah, he's not running for somebody. He's running for Congress itself. He'll be the first Green elected to the House if he can pull it off. But yeah, once again, Andrew Gillum. And you know what, fam? You're going to like this. Andrew Gillum's #1 issue is?
What is it, fam?
Criminal justice reform, because Florida is one of those states. Ladies and gentlemen, all this stuff, and this should start registering. Remember with this whole, when we were very critical of Hillary Clinton, bring them to heel, the super predators. Okay, if you think for a second that this criminal justice system is there to help and to protect and to reform, you got another thing coming. Okay, this is about bail reform, the bail industry making money hand over fist, those people lobbying the country to make sure that the bail system stays the way it is. The way they lock people up, they just arrest them for no reason. Okay, a lot of these people are innocent. All that bail money goes to those companies. All that taxpayer dollar that you have goes to feed people, house them, keep them there until their court dates.
Marijuana arrests
are ridiculous.
I was in high school and
for a seed.
My friends, one of my friends got caught with a pipe, and they were put in the system. They had to go probation, had a probation officer, all because there was a pipe that the police officer found.
You're going to jail.
And now you have a record and you go to jail. And
and that's the thing, Florida, fam, you were talking about in Florida. People don't realize this. Florida really cripples you if you get arrested and you have a record. You can't get a job anywhere. And this man understands that. And that's what I love about this guy, because he's the perfect person for governor of Florida. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's talking about give people a chance to work. Give people a chance to get back acclimated into the capitalist system that you all are begging to protect, okay? Well, he's not asking for freebies. He's not asking for handouts. He's asking for second chances for people to join the workforce, for crying out loud.
And if we can bail out the banks and give them multiple chances, we can give people
no questions asked there, fam.
chances as well.
No questions asked there, fam. It's second. Hey, here you go. Oh, Bush, here's your bailouts.
Legal crime,
Obama,
fam.
Here's your bailouts. I'm sorry,
it's legalized crime, fam.
Well, Ed Zachary says that we should do a primary coverage so that we don't have to watch TYT. We're going to do that. Ed Zachary, Eric Zachary, you come
Eric
join the show.
Zachary.
We love
You're always watching.
We love
Thank
your
you
stuff.
So much.
Yes, and big shout out to TJ, big time Timmy Jim from Our Revolution.
Thank you, Tim,
and
for
Rhonda
your shares.
Walker over there in Washington, Our Revolution. We love you guys. If you ever need a question, if you want to go and see what candidates to look at, go to the Our Revolution. They have an endorsement section. My boy over here, Andrew Gillum, was up there, and somebody from Florida did early voting, and they're like, I didn't expect it to be 9 Democrats on the ballot, and I just voted for the woman because I thought it was the best thing to do. It's not that I don't want a woman to win. I like Gwen Graham, but she's more centrist than Andrew Gillum is. Andrew Gillum is the choice we need.
We need to stop with these identity politics. And if we're even looking at identity politics, Andrew Gillum is a person of color who came from a family that understands the consequences of a broken criminal justice system.
New Jim Crow, Eric Zachary put it up there and stuff like that. Fam, behind us is the beautiful Arizona Canyon over here. We have some Arizona candidates, but one in particular that I love. Can we show the video of this candidate over here?
We have so many videos today.
Woo! We got to have some victories.
Hang in there.
I know we have a lot of them, but once again, we have an amazing candidate, a couple amazing candidates, one running in Arizona. He's running for a local seat, and the guy's just amazing. Check him out over here, okay? Watch this.
I want to make sure that we are fighting Trump on a local level. I want to make sure that all the aggressors that actually want to oppress from D.C. to the Capitol building all the way to anywhere in America, I want to make sure that we fight them and fight what they are trying to do to citizens of this district. My name is Marcus Farrell, and I'm running for LD24 here in the great state of Arizona. The events that happened after 9/11 made me think, especially being an active duty military member, made me think, whose kids are going to war? Is it kids like me, And I knew most of my friends came from middle and lower class families in the military. That was what got me politically active. It started making me look at government, the functions of government, the power of the presidency, the power of Congress, and the power of people who we voted in. So I started taking my votes a lot more seriously then. And that's when I started actively community organizing, is when 9/11 happened. I believe I'm uniquely qualified because I understand the plight of working families in this district, because I've been that working family and I am that working family. I'm uniquely qualified because I'm one of you. As a state representative, I'm going to do everything that I can to advocate that we speak to more black and brown communities and that we talk to everyone's community about their issues. We need to have a platform. We need a living wage in Arizona because there's actual poverty in District 24. I believe we need to raise teacher pay 20% and fully fund education here in Arizona. We need free public college and trade schools for our Arizona high school graduates. I believe we need mandatory body cameras on police officers and civilian review boards with subpoena power. This district is a district that deserves a fighter. We're one of the most diverse areas in Arizona, and these areas have their own diverse issues. I want to find out what those issues are and actually speak those issues in the state capitol. Look, getting elected is only half the battle. We need to make sure that we are consistently reaching out to the community for feedback and how we become better, because I become better if my community becomes better. So the way you fight Trump in this state is you vote for progressives who are unabashedly willing to call him out on every single thing, from his misogyny to his racism, to his cronyism. And you make sure that your policies reflect that in every single thing that you do locally. You fight Trump by voting local. You fight Trump by voting for Marcus Farrell. My name is Marcus Farrell, and I approve this message.
Fam, what is Marcus Farrell? What is Marcus Farrell?
He's a real candidate
He's
that's
lit,
going
fam.
to fight,
He's lit.
not by just criticizing Trump,
Nope.
but by fighting
Policy.
locally.
Yes.
Right? He's running for a state rep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Arizona is a difficult state for the left. It just is.
Yeah.
It's a very Republican state. I mean, just going to their airport, you can just smell like the conservatism of that place. And I find it very daring for anyone to run, especially someone like him.
And Arizona had one of the biggest atrocities of the 2016 primaries. This was the state that closed down 70% of their polling places despite having record registration 3 weeks before the election. 6 weeks before the election. They shut it down. You know why? Because they had the early voting in favor of Hillary Clinton. So they had long lines, and who's going to stand out in the Arizona sun and the desert and wait in these lines? Old people, you know what I'm saying? Even younger people who had to get back to work. They had to leave these lines and get back to their jobs. You know, Arizona is one of those states, and guess where that senator who just passed away is from? Arizona. Yeah. Okay. And the thing I want to say about this guy, Farrell, is lit as can be, and one of the best lines he says in that commercial, he says, when my community becomes a better person, when my community becomes better, I become a better person. And that is awesome. That just touched me to the core. The man has a plan endorsed by our revolution. Go ahead and support him, fam. He's lit.
Fam, do we have any other candidates?
Yes, we do. I know how you love a nice, juicy female candidate. I don't mean that in that bad. A great guy, a juicy candidate, not the person herself.
You have a way with words.
No,
let me tell you.
You're going to love this woman here because this woman's all about education. Check it out.
Public school funds should go to public schools. I believe that we can have excellent public schools that serve the needs of every single student in Arizona, in their neighborhood. Every child in Arizona deserves a fully funded public school with small class sizes and services for disabilities and special needs and counselors, and there's no reason we can't do that.
Okay, education, strong fighter right there. I mean, you have to do your research when it comes to these candidates, fam. You have to go on Our Revolution. You got to go on DSA. You got to look who's endorsed. Once again, I love candidates that are fighting for their communities. I love candidates that are fighting for education. And LaDawn Steuben, I believe is how you say it.
It's a German name,
She's fighting for education, and I love her glasses. She looks smart.
She looks
wicked smart. So.
Oh.
So tomorrow, make sure you all get to the polls. That's Arizona's finest.
That's awesome, fam. And before we go, it would be a crime not to mention the shooting in Florida, especially because we're talking about, Florida. And what I really want to mention about this shooting in Florida is the new hashtag that came about. So March for Our Lives put out the hashtag that says, we should not have to experience hashtag another Florida shooting. We must stop gun violence. So another Florida shooting is a really sad hashtag because think about that. It's almost so common that, especially in a state like Florida where we have the stand your ground law, and it's like, oh, it's another Florida shooting. And the kids, the kids from Marjorie Stoneman, and they are leading this fight again. So they're going to go to on Tuesday to the offices of Republican senators backed by the NRA, and they're going to go and plan a protest there. That's tomorrow. So they're doing this tomorrow while the primaries are happening, which is, it's crazy that children are leading this fight.
Yeah.
We have our cat just came down and she's visiting.
We have Daenerys Targaryen is the name of the cat. She's I wish she was coming over here and whatnot.
Mother of dragons.
She's the mother of dragons.
Mother of
cats.
What I'm
saying? Mother of cats. We're gonna make a commercial soon. This cat is a stunt flipper, and she flips all of it. Yeah, she's getting all tangled up whatnot. Here, let's get her on here. Come here.
There she is.
There we go. There's come on up. Don't be camera shy. That's Daenerys Targaryen.
Wait. See her eyes. She's
beautiful.
Daenerys because she has these eyes.
She hasn't signed the contract yet.
Yeah.
But you can see her. She does awesome flips, and she's just a great cat.
She's a circus cat.
But anyways, that's handsome Johnny Mayorga who brought her in.
Give love to Daenerys.
Mother of kittens, Eric Zachary says. This guy is great. I love Eric Zachary, whatnot. Listen, fam, before we close out the show, we did talk about Florida. We just wanted to touch on it, because it is news. And it was kind of crazy today. We didn't get to see the outreach or the craziness on the mainstream media because everybody was so consumed with John McCain. But usually there's you know how they politicize this whole situation. It's like we have to have a talk about mental illness or blah blah blah.
I like that the kids are focusing on the NRA because the NRA is a huge part of the issue. They continue to receive funding. They make money off of dead people. They make money off these shootings, and they're smart enough to understand that. So they have taken the lead. They are going after the senators. They are going after the representatives, and it's taking these kids who are far younger to go and be like, hey, you guys aren't doing it, we're gonna do it. Guess what? We don't have jobs, so we're gonna go and
we got plenty of time on our hands.
We're gonna skip school, or we're gonna do what it takes. We're gonna go after school, and we're gonna go show you how to do the things that you all should be doing. And I really admire that, regardless of the politics, regardless of where they stand politically. I think that's awesome because the youth is the future, and they are showing us that they're going to lead. So
yes. So, fam, before we play us out, I have one last announcement, and let me put this on right over here.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Well, it was a couple hours breaking news, but hold on as we get the. Let me get this done over here, and so let's show the video.
What is it?
We got a little bit more MF Doom to play us out. We've been talking on this show about a certain bill that's been out there, AB 84. Well, guess what? Breaking news. Put it up there. Ryan Asher, the leader in this movement right over here. AB 84 has just been referred to the inactive file. We won, fam.
Congrats to everybody who called their senators, who called their representatives.
I called them today.
Who, made sure that they felt the pressure. Because the calls, the phone lines were flooded, fam. It was lit.
Thank you for joining us on the Convo Couch. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you soon. And remember, whenever there's news, you'll find the Convo Couch.
Yes. And donate to our Patreon if you can.
Please.
Please.
Like, subscribe.
Love, share.
Help us out. Hook us up. We love you, fam.
Daenerys says bye.